welcome back to Wisdom Talks on our podcast. Today's podcast is hard, it's inspirational, it's about recovery, it's about heart attack, and I'm very pleased to tell you, I'm joined by my colleague Steve Clark here, who is going to talk about his journey and the road to recovery after experiencing a quadruple bypass. Yes. Would you like to introduce yourself? You are SEO?
Yeah, so I work on marketing for Health Assured.
Okay.
I work for SEO, which is search engine stuff.
I was going to ask you what that means.
So technical, boring stuff.
Stressful?
No.
So it's not a stressful job?
No.
It's techie?
It's techie.
Yeah. So we're talking about heart attack today, and I think a lot of people think stress straight away, don't they, with heart attack or health?
Yeah.
You look a pretty healthy person to me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So do you. It's a lot of people put it down to stress, weight, unhealthiness, and it's not always the case.
So I'm going to go through a tick box that I know your doctor would have asked you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you smoke?
Used to.
What's your diet like?
Normal.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you drink a lot?
I rarely drink.
Okay. Take drugs?
No.
Okay. And then I asked you, you look like you exercise and you're healthy. Do you exercise?
Yeah, since being a kid.
So tell me then, why have you had a heart attack? Is it right? That last question I actually didn't ask you. Is it anything historically in your family?
No, nothing else.
So what the hell? What happened?
So these are the exact questions after the heart attack had stopped were the questions they asked me.
Yeah.
And the actual nurse, after the questions you've just asked, she said, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And I said, "You tell me, I don't know."
What a shock.
So what it was, when the heart attack happened, it wasn't a collapse thing or anything. And I didn't even know it was a heart attack because you see on TV, people having heart attack in films and I thought you got a pain through your arm and never got that. I just got this constant stabbing pain, like someone getting a knife and putting it in and out constantly.
So incredibly painful.
Yeah. And at first I thought it was chronic heartburn.
Yeah.
At first. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. Now, funnily enough, I was at my parents' house when it happened.
Yeah. What shock to that?
And if I was on my own, if I was in my own house, because with a lot, and I couldn't pick the phone up or open the door.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'd have. So it's like you got that mystery of fate that comes into it there. Yeah. You were where you were when it happened. So luckily they rang the hospital and I'm going, no. And I'm literally, because I'm that way out, said, "Oh, I'm being soft, don't call the ambulance. No, it's nothing, it'll go." And it just got worse and worse and worse. And then I was screaming out with pain and everyone said, "That's it, ambulance." The ambulance took an hour and a half to arrive.
So an hour and a half of pain?
Yeah, so I just curled up in a ball in the front room.
Yeah.
Just screaming in pain. And it was like, your chest is going like that, just the pain of that stabbing motion. And for about an hour and a half, while the ambulance arrived.
Can I just stop you there? Did you know that was a heart attack? What did you think it was?
I think after a while, when I stopped thinking it was chronic heartburn, I just thought, oh, it might be an heart attack. Yeah. And my dad's like, "It's an heart attack." Yeah. I'm not going. And I was denying it in my head. Anyway, the ambulance turned up, and they came in and they gave me morphine. Didn't do anything. They gave me blood thinner. Didn't do anything. Said, "Right, we need to get you to hospital." So I went to hospital. So basically, all the drugs they induced me with, it took around 7 hours for the heart attack to go. So I had a 7-hour heart attack. The back pain. Yeah.
And you don't know when it's going to end, do you? So and you had nothing that subdued that. You weren't sedated in any way.
You tried, but nothing worked.
So 7 hours you went through that
pain away. So at the end, we did end up, the medication they gave me suppressed the pain.
Yeah.
And as soon as the pain stopped, I fell asleep and woke up in the morning. Yeah. And I was just on a drip and really loads of medication. Yeah. To actually suppress it. So this was in near where we live. Preston Hospital is like 30 minutes from where I live, and the heart hospital is in Blackpool. Right. So that's another 40 minutes away. Okay. So the day after, and I'm one of them people. I just started work. Well, I'd been at Health Assured working where we are now for 6 months. So it was a new job.
Oh, so you were sick about whether you're going to have a job to go back to, aren't you?
And after, like most jobs, you get to 6 months, you get your probation period and all this. And I'm 6 months in, what a time to have it. My head is worrying about work, career, money. How do you provide if no money? And all this kind of thing.
Which isn't great to worry about that when you're experiencing what you've just experienced.
Naturally, you think about stuff like this. Because I've got a daughter, 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I've got to provide for her as well. So you're thinking, your mind starts spinning around. Anyway, so I got my dad to ring the boss at the time who was here. And he was fantastic. He just went, right, don't worry about anything. Everything's on hold until we know.
Can I just stop you there and just say to anybody listening out there that, if you have a life experience or an illness, that because automatically people think, oh, my job, I'm going to lose my job, especially if you've only been there for 6 months. There are protective things in place for people, but you employees should be supportive, supportive right through that journey from when you find out you're ill through to returning to work and a support mechanism. That's fine. I don't want anybody to worry out there, take advice from us and we can support you with that.
I think it goes from company to company. I've worked from company. I mean, legally, they have to, any company has to abide by, well, you can't do anything about it. It's what it is. But where we were lucky enough that they went a little bit extra, well, a lot extra, with which I'll go on to later.
So we'll take you back to, you're in Blackpool now. So you've been moved from Preston to Blackpool. Yeah. You haven't had any surgery at this point. No. And you just know that you've had a heart attack. No. It's obviously you're sedated, you're out, you're here and there. Yeah. Who's around you at this point?
At this point, my parents were in the waiting room. Nobody else was there.
Okay.
Because nobody else knew at this point. This is like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So anyway, they took me to Blackpool and said, that's the heart specialist in this area. So I went there and we tried to put what we call a stent.
Yeah.
And a stent goes all the way up your arm. Yeah. And down here, and you can see it on the TV when it's happening. And I was a bit sedated when that were happening. They thought, well, if we can get this in, that's what it does. It opens up the artery. Yeah. And they were putting it in, I could see it, and I was dozing off. I was in and out. And the doctor said, don't do it, it'll kill him.
Oh, my gosh.
And I just went, what? And it just woke me up. I went, what? And he went, don't worry, we're not going to do it. And then pulled it back out. He put me back in the room, in the ward. And they came in and they said, right, we need to do a heart scan. We've looked at the scan. You're looking at a quadruple bypass. All 4 arteries that go into the heart were blocked completely. Well, not completely. I think it was letting in 5%.
Explain how that is.
So if this is your heart, your heart beats like this. And mine was beating like that.
Barely, yeah?
Yeah, barely. So through your heart, as far as I understand it from the doctors, you've got the arteries, 4 that go in. Yeah. And they pump the blood through, which makes your heart beat. A bit like fuel for your engine. Yeah. And so basically, they looked at it and they said 3 of them are completely blocked, not letting anything in. Yeah. And this one's letting in 10%. Yeah. Which made it a quadruple because he had to sort all of them out. It's like having 3 ball ties and one about to go.
Okay. Good way of explaining it.
Yeah. And so they said, right, you need to go for surgery. Straight away I'm going, is there any way you can do it without surgery? I said, I need to get back to work.
So all you thought about was work?
That's what I was, it's just every way I am, it's like, I need to get back to work, I need to earn. Yeah. And she said, you could go back tomorrow. And I went, oh, right, can I? She goes, but you'll be dead by end of the week. And this is how the nurses taught you. Yeah. To actually make you see reality. Yeah. And they're quite brutal at you. Yeah. Because they bring you down with a thump. Yeah. And I wasn't the only one in the ward like this. There was other people in the ward, usually lads. Yeah. I was by far the youngest person in there by 25 years.
Youngest?
Yeah, in that ward for heart. Yeah. Anyway, so it was a quadruple bypass and the waiting list was a month. They wouldn't let me go home. I had to stay in hospital for a full month and take the pills every day to suppress the pain, to suppress the actual
I can't
heart
believe
attack.
that. So you waited a whole month of pain, a whole month in a hospital. And how was your mental health?
I've always been good with my mental health. I mean, I wasn't when I went through a stage in mid-20s where I got depressed because I got dumped off a girl and stuff, you know, this type of thing. And when I never got divorced because we never married, but when I separated, we had a business together. I lost the business, a house and everything. That was bad.
Yeah.
But in general, my mental health's pretty much all right. Yeah. I think a lot of that is lifestyle of what you do. I always say keep yourself busy, then your mental health will take care of itself. But that's me. Yeah. You know, I think working out, going to the gym a lot, doing active things, keeping busy is a big part of mental health, you know, for me.
Yeah.
So I was 4 weeks in there and I'm like, 4 weeks off work. And they came in and said, no, you're going to be off for at least 4 months off work. I said, I can't do 4 months. And he said, well, you're going to have to. And it was as simple as that. However, I sat and thought about it and I thought, I'm in a lucky position.
Yeah.
Because work were fine. Just come back when you're ready.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's good.
That's like a pressure cooker. Somebody says that to you.
Yeah.
It's like all that worry.
Yeah.
It goes a bit, doesn't it? Because you know then you can focus on what is the now, the operation and the recovery, rather than thinking, I'm going to lose my job. We just need somebody to say that to you.
Yeah.
I want you to stop worrying about work. We're looking after that. You look after yourself. We want you back.
The moment they said that, if the pressure is that much, the pressure went down like that. And then you're also worried about the finances.
Yeah.
Because you've still got bills to pay every month.
Of course, yeah. Nobody else is going to pay them.
Which is going out.
Yeah.
Luckily enough that I've got a bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but, you know, I'm a kind of a saver. So it's that possibly could wipe all that out.
But nobody else is like that, are they?
Well,
and like that, I was saying nobody. I said there's a lot of people out there that probably don't have savings.
If, you know, a few years ago, I was living, you know, it's only recent I've been more better off managing myself that way. I won't say financially well off, I would say managing myself better. A few years ago, if this had have happened, I wouldn't have been able to pay rent, bills, whatever. Especially when you got a child to support as well. Fortunately, she lives with her mum because we separated about 8 years ago. But you still have to provide for them. So you've still got that. And also the other thing, so if that's your pressure pot, you're okay at work, that went down. I've got some savings to back me up. That went down. Daughter was fine. She was upset a lot, but I'll get on to it. But I was thinking about recovery after hospital. Where do I go? Well, mum and dad were like, well, where are you? We'll look after you. Yeah. Because basically, as I got told, when you come out of the hospital after open heart surgery, you literally can't walk or move. Yeah. For weeks and weeks on end. So anyway, you're 4 weeks in the hospital and I shared a ward with 3 other people. So it's a ward of 4. And I say I was the youngest by far. There was one other guy in the ward with me who was maybe 5 years my senior. It'd be 55-ish. And the other guys were like in their 80s. And one of them was like, oh, I'm on my second one, me, you know, and this type of thing. And so you get to know them really, really well because you're waiting a month together in the room.
You're still in touch with those people?
Yeah. Well, 3 of them. So you get to know them really, really well. But one guy had a come to talk about the mental health side. His family lived 200 miles away. Right. And they took him to Blackpool, so he couldn't visit all the time. He came like once a week if he was lucky. Yeah. He had a total meltdown. Yeah. Because he'd been there 6 weeks. Yeah. I say 4 weeks for me. Everyone goes, 4 weeks. I say that's nothing compared to what other people waited. He had a total meltdown. He just broke down all the time mentally because of the fact he just wanted to get home. Yeah. He wanted it done and to get home.
Why? Sorry, can I ask you, why is there such a long waiting list?
It's just.
Is it because they're monitoring you, or is it because there's just the expertise? Yeah,
so the heart surgeons, let's say there's 4 working in a day. Yeah. If you get through about I think we get through about 4 surgeries per day per person. So it shows the amount of people having heart attacks who need surgery. Yeah. So they'll do 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon per day. Yeah. So it's just a waiting list. Yeah. So, if there was no waiting list, I could have got in the day after and we would have done it.
It's a waiting list.
So it wasn't really a physical waiting thing. It was a queue. Yeah. Basically. So for the last week, they put me in my own room, which was nice. It was like a little ensuite and everything. Watched telly on my own and all this. That was nice.
Why did you do that?
Because they're kind of preparing you, because COVID was going around.
And the illness, because you don't want any bugs or anything just before heart surgery. Yeah. They're sort of isolating you, keeping you fresh, if you like, healthy, ready for this heart surgery, which is going to change your life.
Well,
so you're isolated then for that time. So probably when you need a lot of people around you, you're in this room, and then you're going down for surgery. Yeah. So take you to the surgery now. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're just slightly before the surgery. I'm in this room for a week on my own. And the nights before the surgery, my mum and dad visits and walks in the room. I went, oh, I didn't know you were coming. 2 seconds later, one of my mates walks through. He says, oh, I've come to see you. I went, all right. So I'm sat there with my mum, my dad, my best mate. And the doctor walks in, the guy who's doing the surgery. He says, I've got to run through tomorrow and go through a checkbox of things that could happen. And he says, are you all right with these people in, or do you want to leave? And I was at the point of being in hospital for 4 weeks. I said, I just want it done. Just get it done. I don't care. Yeah. And I'm like sat up, and he says, are you sure you want them here? I'm like, no, it's fine. He says, I've got to ring through. He says, right, number 1 things that can happen, death. Yeah. And he just came out of it like this. You could have a seizure. You could be disabled after, lose your loss in your legs and all this. And so if you went through this huge list of what's going on, and I'm literally at the point, I've been in there that long, it was like somebody reading out, I'd taken my car in and they're telling me what's wrong on my MOT. And I'm just going, okay.
Yeah. So hardened.
Yeah, you'd hardened yourself. Well, I'm a bit that way, but it hardened you when you're in there. And I looked, my mum was in tears, and my mate, used to play in bands with him and stuff like this over the years. So I've known him since we were like young. Yeah. He's in bits. He says, I'm sorry, I'm just have to get up. And he has to get up and walk out. And then my mum got up and walked out, and my dad just there like this. So they run through this big list, but they have to do it legally. Yeah. So they basically tell you.
Have to, yeah.
So at that point, you have to sign your life away and say, yeah, let's do it. So I'll skip his thing. Let's sign it. So that was it. So in the morning, you get wheeled in onto the bed, ready for the operation, and they put you under. And everybody at that point, especially my dad, because my dad's a retired minister, so he's a very religious man, and he was like, are you not scared of, what might happen? Yeah. I went, well, no, not at all, because I see it as 2 sides. If you've got faith, you're all right, you know where you're going. If you're an atheist, nothing will happen. Yeah. You're not going to know. There's 2 things that bothered me. Leaving a daughter without a dad. Yeah. And having my mum and dad see their child die. Yeah. They're the only 2 things I'm worried about. Yeah. So the night before, I went to my mum. I said, I've transferred every single penny I've got into your account. I said, if I die, just transfer it to Emily, to my daughter. And she went, all right. She was in bits when that ran me. Anyway, so you go in and you go under, and then you wake up.
It's a big decision to make that, by the way, isn't it? To think about that. Yeah. You have to, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Practical. Yeah. You have to take all that away and look at the practical side and think, this is what it might happen.
Yeah, I was never. It made me question if there was something wrong with it mentally at one point, because I was never fearing it. I'd never feared the operation. I think I got that long in hospital. I would just do it and get it over with. Yeah, let me get out of there. Yeah, and so you kind of.
And also so long in pain as well. Yeah. So you want just that pain to end, don't you? So the pain's over, and this operation is a solution to that problem. Yeah. It ends that boarding you in hospital, the medication, but also that pain that you're going through and you've had quite badly.
Well, while you're waiting for 4 weeks, you used to go for walks around the hospital. Yeah. I could only walk for 5 minutes. I could feel it about to pounce out.
Really?
Yeah. And it's I had to stop. So you knew it was bad. Yeah. You knew you just couldn't believe.
This is like your last chance, isn't it? So you know about going down, you're wheeling down, you've done all that with your mum and dad.
So the next thing I knew when I went under, I woke up, eyes opened, and there was a big bright light. I'm like, oh, it's heaven.
Is that what you thought?
I thought, oh, I didn't make it. Is this... And then after a split second, you go, oh, no, it's a light in hospital.
Yeah.
And then I literally forgot who I was. I didn't know what was going on. And I know people who say, oh, I have panic attacks all the time. And I'm usually the one to say, oh, pull yourself together. Come on. That I had a panic attack for the first time ever in my life.
Yeah.
And when people say panic attack now, I sympathize with it because it's like a true panic attack. I couldn't breathe. Panicked. I was shaking. I thought I was dying.
Did they know you were having a panic attack?
So what the nurses do when that happens, believe you.
Yeah. They what?
Believe you.
What did they?
They don't do anything. And all I heard a shout was, "You're having a panic attack, love. Just sweat it out. Just get through it." Because it couldn't do anything. Bearing in mind, I'd been cut open, so all this was really tender. If I went like that, the pain.
Because you've had your ribs broke as well, haven't you?
Yeah, everything's been broke.
Yeah, so anybody who's broke a rib will know that that's incredibly tricky. Yeah. Just one rib.
So basically, they go, without sounding horrible, and they go straight through the bone. So it's the bone. It's not it. The heart is healing because of what they've done to it, but this is the worst. It's the bone.
Yeah, the bone.
So anyway, so I'm having this panic attack, and I remember this curtain at the side of me, and obviously somebody was on the other side of it. I said, and I start shouting, I'm dying. And I heard this manly voice, this big, grim, manly voice going, oh, shut up, you're not dying. Stop being soft.
Oh, God.
And I went, oh, right, I'm not dying. And it snapped me out of it.
Yeah.
And then this curtain pulled back. And there was this kind of like big biker type dude, big beard, tattoos, Harley Davidson type of guy. He just went, you're all right now. He said, stop being soft, you're all right. And I went, cheers, pal. You pulled me through there. And then, so that was that. So then, long story short, after that, this was on Christmas Eve.
Was it? You had the operation on Christmas.
Yeah.
Last year, you had the operation. Yeah. 24.
So I came out of the operation on Christmas Eve, 24. Yeah. No, sorry, 23.
I was going to say
it was a year ago.
So 23, but still now, even a year, you look amazing. But go carry on.
So I spent Christmas Day and New Year's Eve in hospital like this, and I've got a big thing in my neck here. It's everywhere, and it's horrible. But the horrible bit isn't what's happening to you. The horrible bit is looking at everybody else who's in the beds because there's some really bad things what you're looking at. You're looking at it, like, I'm so lucky. Like to get this. Anyway, so about a week and a half later, they let me come home. I could barely walk even at that point. You couldn't get up it because we take a big vein out your leg, so your legs done in as well. Because we use the vein to use in here, for the bypass. So then I went home, but that week and a half after, I couldn't talk on the phone. I couldn't text people. Literally, you can't do. You're just a mess.
You're very, very weak.
Yeah, you're very, very weak. You don't leave your bed. So because you don't leave your bed, all your muscles start deteriorating. You've been in bed for 4 weeks. You look like skin and bone.
Like a knock-on effect, isn't it?
Yeah. And you feel your physical health just going completely compared to what you used to. Anyway, so I went home and I went back to my parents and they put me in the bedroom with the TV, said, right, you recover here. And my mum, God love her, she was like a nurse. She was like, she's retired and everything. They're both retired. And she literally looked after me all the time. I had like 5 lots of pills at different times to take during the day. So she was there giving me the pills.
It should have been easy to forget with the medication you're on,
you set obvious alarms, but you sleep through them half the time because you're just worn out.
Yeah.
But that's another reason I say I was extremely lucky. Because of the support I had.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think, I thought, if I didn't have this support,
what would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
The hospitals do offer support.
Yeah.
So when they were going home, one of the questions they were saying is, have you got someone to look after you? I said, well, yeah. what we said, if you don't, because a lot of these elderly people don't have anyone who've had this operation, they're going home. So we send someone out every day. So we have carers that come out. So you're covered that way. Yeah. It's not as nice having your family looking after you, but at least you've got support.
So you've had the operation. You're now at your mum and dad's. You're recovering. So did you see your daughter then? Did she come? And
my daughter visited me in the hospital a lot, probably about 4 times.
Yeah.
But she's a very emotional. Do you know what little girls are like with the dads? She's a daddy's girl.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And she came about 3 to 4 times. Well, I've got 2, but one's 31. She's like the half sister to the other one. And she came 3-4 times. She cried. She couldn't cope. She held it back with her, and she didn't like it. I could tell it was ruining her. Yeah. I text her all the time on phone to her as much as I could. She visited and everything. But it scared her to death.
Yeah, seeing her dad like that.
Yeah. She was
too much for her.
Yeah, she was like, "How am I going to get on?" Because she totally relies on.
Well, when do you think? When at what point were you able to get out of the bed and walk even a step?
About after a week and a half after the operation.
Yeah.
I could walk, but with a frame. So to walk without a frame was about 2-3 weeks.
Was it?
But it was very slow.
Because obviously still your bones are healing, aren't they? Like a broken leg, anything that's broken bone-wise, it is your actual main frame that's broken, isn't it?
So you don't really... even after healed, like even now to this day, I've got a big scar that goes out, and it heals like that. And you think it's healed.
Yeah.
When I go to the gym, and I'm doing anything chesty, you go, "Oh, that's too heavy."
Yeah.
Take one off, because it feels like it's going to crack like an egg.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's healed.
Yeah.
So, but also you don't realise how much energy goes through this point, even picking up the brew.
Yeah. The kettle or anything like that, as they say.
Kettles are heavy. I'd get out of bed weeks after and lift the kettle, and if it was half full, I couldn't lift it because of the pain. The energy just goes straight for it's the recovery on it.
Because the muscles are here, aren't they?
Because the energy goes straight through the middle of your body, whatever you do. So I could walk after a while, but slowly, and then started walking around blocks after about a month. So,
question I was going to ask you there is, with work. So, what's the relationship with work then? Are they?
So, this was brilliant. So, my manager at the time, was always in touch, but not overly.
Yeah.
And
just right.
He rings me once a week, 1 o'clock on a Thursday.
Set times.
Every week.
Yeah.
For 3 months.
Do you find that motivational?
I found it comforting.
Did you? Right.
Because it was a comfort zone of my job is secure, my job is all right. But the funny thing is, when he rang, I got a system going in the head that, I'm just ringing.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes, and I'm ready. And on the nose every week, without fail, boom.
Do you know what? I just want to say to people listening, and my background is employment law, health and safety law, and to people listening, when I talk about absence and absence management, capability, returning people to work, and we talk about, people ask me the question, how often, if somebody's got stress, somebody's ill, when do I contact them, how often? And you've hit the nail on the head there. Same day, same hour, every week, because then they know, not too much, just right, to show that you care, for the reassurance, and to fact find as well, how you doing, how you feeling, because, at the end of the day, they're also running a company, so they want to look after you, but also have an idea of how you're doing in your recovery steps. Exactly. So you found that reassuring.
It was reassuring, and the thing, every time he rang, it was a 5 minute, if that, because he knew. Because sometimes
too much otherwise,
sometimes I'm talking, I'm going, you're right. Because even a month after, 2 months after the operation, sometimes you couldn't get your breath. And he never once spoke about work. The only thing he asked was, how are you? How do you feel?
Yeah.
How are you coping? Tell me about it. Are you all right talking about it? And the only time he spoke about work is if I asked him a question about work. So I'd say, how is everyone? How's the team? He said, they're great. Anyway, don't talk about work.
Yeah.
he says, no, I want to talk about work. Because I was getting to the stage after 3 months, I was ready to come back.
Were you ready?
Not physically.
No. Mentally, you felt ready.
I was, but I must admit I enjoyed the time off.
Yeah.
So a lot of people said, did you go crazy when you were off for 4 months? No, I loved it.
I think one of the things you said actually was you share how your recovery process felt like a holiday away from yourself, to detach from society.
Eventually.
To mentally shut down for the pressures you felt as a father and as a son as well.
So because I was so lucky of the situation, of the stableness of what was going on, I treated it as a holiday away from myself.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, because everybody knows your situation, you're not getting bothered with phone calls. Nobody wants anything off you.
Yeah.
And usually that's my life. People are ringing, friends ring you all the time, but people ring you about other stuff all the time, problems and otherwise. Nothing happened unless it was someone near you. Yeah. And I treated it as a holiday. It always reminds me of that film, of a really old film, Total Recall film. And he has a mind implant and he has a holiday away from himself. Yeah. And that's how I thought about it. And I completed Netflix.
Did you?
Ran out of things to watch.
And we'll have a separate conversation as to what's the best ones to watch.
Right. Yeah. I was signing up for all these streaming services. I thought I'll watch Game of Thrones again. I did it all in a week.
Yeah.
But it was great because mentally it was the only time in my life since I was a kid where I could shut down my brain and not panic or worry about anything.
Yeah.
And eventually, after a while, you go, no, you can't do nothing about nothing. Shut down. So your brain comes off like that.
Resetting, aren't you?
You're resetting your brain.
Yeah.
And I've definitely come out on the other side mentally stronger. I always thought I was quite mentally strong, but I'm definitely a lot stronger now.
Yep.
And I'm just like more resilient.
Yeah. So, because we were talking about detaching yourself. You're off work. When did you actually go back to work? What made you go back to work, and when did that happen?
It was the heart attack happened over the Christmas time. Came back almost April, end of March.
So you've got
around there.
Yeah, so
4 months off.
4 months, just over 4 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think helped you recover? Because that's quite quick. You've had a quadruple bypass. That's quick. So because when you said, I thought it was going to be like 8-9 months, but 4 months. What do you think aided your quick recovery?
Well, they did say, because I'm going to use the word young. They kept saying, because you're young, you'll recover quicker. And I'm going, I'm not young.
Yeah.
And they go, well, you are compared to other people who are having the same surgery. So other people who are having the same surgery can be 9 months.
Yeah.
But because you'll probably heal quicker than others, you're looking at 4 months. So they did say 4 months, and they said, take it to 4 months. If you need 5, do 5.
Yeah.
But 4 months, I was like, nah, I can. At this point, I was going to physio. So they send you to physio at the heartbeat place. It was a special place for people who've had.
Yeah. Was that nearer to your home now?
Yeah, I needed a lift. I needed driving around everywhere. If that was it was 20 minutes from my house. And that was physiotherapy. And it was like going to a gym for 08 pays.
Yeah.
And because I lived most of my life in gyms and stuff, I was like, what am I doing here? Yeah. So you're doing that and you're walking on the spot.
Do you feel...
And doing that. And I'm like, what's going on? But it worked.
Did it affect your self-esteem? Did it affect you? No.
I kept saying to myself, well, that's the beach body gone. I kept thinking, because it was a scar, I didn't want the scar.
Yeah.
Quite embraced it now, I quite like it.
Yeah.
But it's
like, journey, isn't it? Substance.
And and but the self-esteem, no. All I wanted to do was just get back into
You're trying to rush it, aren't you, really?
Kind of rushed it. I got asked the other day that should you have gone back to the gym as early as you did, and they told me not to. Or they advised me, if you do go back, go very, very lightly. Yeah. I'm back at work though at this point. This is later down. But you do physiotherapy. So when I came back to work, it was coming in I work hybrid, so I work 2 days at home and 3 in the office.
Yeah.
Bobby said to me, right, your first week back, so it was all planned.
So they you let them know you're coming back to work, now having a discussion with you, because a lot of people on here listening will be the employer and employee, and it's hard, the expectations of what, that's one of the biggest things we get asked on advice. So now we're going to have to, we'll have that return to work meeting. We're talking about capability, and now we're going to look at adjusting the workplace to match your health now, because it's changed. You know, it may, you're back to, I think I don't know whether you feel like you're back to where you were pre the bypass, but we want to, obviously coming back to it, you're not going to be quite there yet. So a reason we're adjusting. So what was that conversation? What did they do? So
the conversations we're having every week at 1 o'clock on a Thursday.
Yeah.
See, I was embedded in my. I still remember the time today. It was towards the end. We set a date of return to work weeks before, and they said, but if it does change, it changes.
So had a goal.
Yeah, there was a goal.
Yeah.
And then it was a case of week number 1.
Yeah.
I want you to work 1 day.
Yeah.
At home. Start for week 1.
Yeah.
Week 2, 2 days at home and 1 in the office.
Yeah.
And then week 3, 2 days in the office and 1 at home. And
how did you find them?
So I come on the train because we work in middle of Manchester city centre.
Yeah.
So I wasn't ready for driving. I couldn't drive still at this point. But I get the train anyway.
Yeah.
So anyone who gets a train into the city centre in the morning will know that it's hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about sitting at a desk all day working. I was worried about the travel.
Yeah.
Am I going to get knocked on the train? Am I be able to get a seat on the train?
Yeah.
That was the worry. That's the only thing that kind of semi-panicked me.
Yeah.
Was that first morning when I had to come into the office. I hope nobody knocks me when I'm on the train, because you still get dizzy at this point. You're not right. I could have quite easily had another month off and been ill, but no, I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
And but it was fine. And I always say sometimes fate intervenes.
Yeah.
The first day on the train, I got in and it was packed. Got on the train, no seats. I thought, I can't stand for 45 minutes like this. I'm just going to kill all.
So are you panicking there? Because I would panic about that.
So I did. And talking about fate, I saw somebody from my dad's church, where he goes, said, Steve, have the seat. And got up and give it this girl, this young girl, who is a family friend. She'd never seen her on this train in my life before. On this.
Like she got an age, basically, yeah.
Yeah. She said, come and sit down.
Yeah.
And she let me sit down. I felt so bad because all these old people's.
And they're like, look at that. That woman's just like.
And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That was the first day. So once I got my first day of the office over with, and the reception from the team and everybody else in the office was brilliant. Because it's like, I get hugs everywhere. I'm going, don't hug me too hard, And it's, so that was a great.
There's a lot of jokes from you, you can imagine. Going, I made it, or whatever.
I made it, yeah. And, you get certain ones like saying things like, oh, you decided to come back then.
Yeah.
That time.
But that breaks the ice,
Yeah, it's all these, like,
yeah.
We've got a good kind of bantery community in our team. So yeah. And and then as the weeks progressed, you're back to your normal routine after about a month. And you come back and what's the word I'm looking for? You do everything in baby steps. And eventually, before you know it, you're back into the routine.
And then you're back.
And you're not thinking about it.
And then you recover even more because you're not thinking about it and concentrating on it.
Yeah.
How long do you think it took you? Because you had your personal check-ins from your manager. They played a huge part, I think, in your recovery. From what you're saying, they sound extremely positive. The welcome you got at work, and the reassurance, and the fact that if things did go wrong, they could take you back to that working from home. How long did it take you to get that recovery and to feel confident?
When back in the office?
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Did it?
3 weeks.
No, was it like you'd never left?
After few weeks, it was like, now I feel like I've never had any time off, because it's been a year. But when the manager rang me, when I was at home recovering, they were saying, ring the, because we do the EAP, as staff have access to the EAP. And they're like, ring it. I said, I'm mentally all right. No, ring it. Yeah. Just ring it, because you don't know. You never know. You might be suppressing something you might not know. And you did. So I rang it a few times, and and you have a nice chat with somebody, and it's nice because it's somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
And when you talk to somebody you don't know, you can say anything. Yeah. And you always get advice like going, just watch it. You're not, putting up too much for a stiff upper lip type of thing, and too much just make sure you're right. And it kind of grounds you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because it's, because I come from that era.
Yeah.
Generation of stop being soft.
Yeah.
Get on with it. That's the era, probably the same era, 90s, 80s.
Yeah. No, I'm 27. No,
yeah. I meant like the 2010. And but that's the era. But when you ring.
You're not used to, it's not something that was out years ago. I think I've spoken about it with Health Assured before, is that it wasn't out years ago, and wasn't spoken about. Mental health wasn't, or like you say, it's stiff up, just belt and britches, get on with it, do it, you get on with it.
It's the mental health when I was in my 20s, even.
Yeah.
It took like 90s.
Yeah.
You couldn't say that. Nobody said we got mental health issues. Even the early 2000s, 2010, it's started coming in a little bit, but it was always like, oh, that's an American thing. They have therapy.
Yeah.
Americans have therapy. Yeah. And we're like, going, why do we do it?
Yeah.
And I was always sort of like, anyone who talks to a counsellor is because there's no friends.
Yeah.
Because I was like that. I would like go, why tell me mates me problems? And now
it's changing.
Now I don't.
No.
Now I don't.
It's changing.
You realise that you need to talk to somebody who knows, who are trained, who know, who can spot things and go, who are trained counsellors or whatever. Yeah. And the minute you've done it, you go, oh, why have I not done this before?
Yeah.
Should have done this before.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we're lucky because our company provides an EAP, so it's there anytime we want to ring it. So we're, again, lucky.
Yeah.
So there was a string of luckiness.
Yeah.
I don't think anything about the whole situation was really bad.
Yeah.
Apart from the stress it put on my daughter.
Yeah.
But physically, I'm better than what I was.
That's what I was going to ask you. And I know that you've got this new, I don't know if it's a new life. I don't know if you think it's, new life, or you think it's a second chance at life. Do you have that interpretation of it, or you just think?
A lot of people say, did it change you?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, you've been given a second chance. I don't look at it like that. I looked at it as like an inconvenience.
Yeah.
It was a big inconvenience that I knew I had to climb over. Yeah. And I've had a lot of problems in my life, different related problems, not physical or health or anything. Yeah. But I think the more roadblocks you're in life, the more you realise you just like, it's an obstacle, let's just get over it. And I think that comes with age. Yeah. So I think the older you get, the more wiser you are.
Yeah.
And I think you come to, you might go, oh, not another problem, but you gather your thoughts, get over it, and pass on to the next one. I sometimes embrace problems now, because I always think bad things that happen in your life make the best stories for the future.
Yeah, I think so too. But would you say, I think with life is that we sometimes just have a life and we just live it, but not live it as in trillion things. We just have that life and we live it. But then when something like that happens, it puts a value on your life, and you now value that life. It's
made me more resilient.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
More resilient. People say, did it change? I wouldn't say it changed me, but what it did, it confirmed that my priorities were in order.
Yeah.
i.e. daughter comes first.
Yeah.
Providing. Yeah. Making sure everything, she's looked after. And I can only do that if I keep my knee healthy.
Yeah.
It's like when you're on a plane and the mask come down.
Yeah.
You put it on first before you help somebody.
Yeah.
So I think mentally and physically, I see mental health and physical health the same thing.
Yeah.
It's completely the same thing to me.
Yeah. Has there anything changed? Have you changed anything in your life?
Yeah, I'm more resilient to things. And I also say, they say no is a useful word.
Yeah.
And some people find it hard to say. I kind of used to be like that. And I can say no to something I don't want to do now.
Yeah.
In the old days, I used to be, do you want to do such and such a thing? And I'm like, I really don't want it. Yeah, go on then.
Yeah.
And then you wake up in the morning and go, I've got that thing today. I really don't want to do it.
Yeah. Dread all the day.
Yeah. So I've got to a point where I think you think life's more time sensitive now. Yeah. So I can say no quite easily now. But on the other hand, because life is so time sensitive, I will say yes to things I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
It's like that film Yes Man with Jim Carrey. I don't know if you've ever seen that. He says yes to everything. It changes his life around. But the key of the film is only say yes to what you do or you might think you might like.
Yeah.
Do it the right way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've become more like that.
I think time's precious, and I think that your time, I give everybody the time of day, but sometimes I give too much time to people that it's a waste of time. It's a waste of my time. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah. Your time is precious, and you pick and choose now how to spend it.
Yeah.
And call a scene and spend it with your daughter. Yeah. I imagine a lot.
Yeah. If I'm, in that with people as well, I kind of don't like being around anyone negative now.
Yeah.
Because that brings you down.
Yeah.
You are the people you become the people you surround yourself with, 100%. And I've had friends in the past and who go out and all they do is moan and moan and moan all day over a couple of pints. And you come back and you're in a mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just dragged me down.
Yeah.
So I cut that out.
Yeah.
Now, if it's someone who's like, I like people who make me laugh.
Yeah.
Who we can have banter with and all that. And I think if you can get through a day and laugh.
Yeah. Laughter's a healer.
If I didn't laugh, on our team, there's a couple in the room with us now, we'd laugh all the time. Yeah. And it's like, but that's what gets you through life.
Yeah.
A little bit,
It's enjoyment, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's enjoying it.
Yeah.
How's your relation? Can I ask you this question? I know you have a gist of what I'm going to ask you, but an unsolicited question. What's your relationship like after this with your mum and dad? Has it changed it?
Strengthened it.
Has it?
During when we were younger, my sister and myself, we grew up in a very strict religious background. Yeah. And we got made to go to church twice on a Sunday, twice during the week. And I'm not talking when we were kids, I'm talking like when we were in high school.
Yeah.
And I was very rebellious, extremely rebellious. And I only started getting on more with my mum and dad when I left home. When I left home, we connected. That's when we connected. And, but after this, it's even stronger because I spent so long there.
Yeah.
And they were on it all the time. Yeah. Every day I kept saying, don't visit me every day. Yeah. You're traveling 45 minutes. You're old. No, didn't listen every single day. They'd pick my daughter up, bring her, on the odd occasion when she wanted to come. But it did strengthen the bond. The bond was good anyway, but it kind of, there's a lot more behind it.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd say to them that you haven't said to them?
Oh, I thank them all the time for looking after me, and I do what I can for them, But yeah, if the only thing I'd say to them is thanks for looking after me, because it's like they both it stressed them both out. So when you're at that age, it put them through a lot of stress.
Yeah. Stress, worry, impression.
And I think the thing that got to them the most, it happened in front of them. Yeah. The original heart attack happened in front of them. So we saw the horror of it. and they went through the entire journey with me. And then looking after me.
Yeah.
So with the day I came home from hospital, my mum was frightened to death. She thought I'm going to die at middle at night.
Yeah.
And she's coming in room every 5 minutes. Is he breathing? Is he breathing?
Yeah. Like you when you were a baby. Checking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly
like that. So you prod the baby to make sure the baby's breathing.
He's all right.
Holding you in the mouth.
Yeah.
So that type of thing,
Doing that,
because you're worried sick, aren't you?
Yeah.
As a parent, I'd feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up really just to say I want to carry on talking to you for hours really about it and about your mum, your dad, your daughters, about life itself and everything. But we when we do these podcasts, because this has been an incredible journey, and it just shows you how if you've got the support, it makes that journey a little bit easier for you and gives you the goals and gives you the support and reassures you really is what I think lots of people want. I'd like to ask you really, after this incredible but hard journey that you've been on, what your words of wisdom would be for people that are listening here today, because we always ask a guest about the words of wisdom. What are yours?
There's probably two. As an older man,
yeah,
I would tell younger people not to smoke.
Yeah.
And look after yourself a little bit more, because you think you're invincible when you're in your 20s. Yeah. And I did. I thought I was invincible in my 20s. I probably did myself a lot of damage in my 20s and my 30s. Yeah. You might look fine. You might think you're fit. But internally, just be what you're putting in food, bad food, vaping. Everyone's vaping. It'll catch up. Yeah. I would say, look after yourself now, not tomorrow. This is why I hate New Year's resolutions. I don't make them.
Yeah.
But I can't stand it because I believe in, I don't believe in motivation. I believe you should just do it.
Yeah.
And looking after yourself is what you should do when you're younger. But it doesn't matter because young people are to listen, you know, those. So, because I did.
Would you have listened to you?
I want to listen to me.
No.
And the other thing is, I saw a saying, forget where I saw it. If you don't make time to look after your wellness, you'll be forced to look after your illness. Or you'll be forced to make time to look after your illness. And that's so true. I mean, I've never, like we were saying before, I've never ate terrible. But I've been out in the youth and I've gone crazy and drunk and smoked like a chimney. And I only gave up 8 years ago or something like that, but moved straight onto vaping. So you're replacing one with the other. And you always think, even like when I was early 40s, I'm thinking I'm invincible. You're not.
Yeah.
And it catches up. Your body, I always think of your body like a car.
Yeah.
You buy it brand new and you send it to the junkyard.
Yeah.
Eventually. Because then eventually, as you're going through, things start going wrong with that car, the older it gets, and that's your body acts the same way completely. So you've got to MOT yourself all the time and just look after. But up here as well, you go through so many things for your life that you get brain battered, all these things. But the thing is, if you don't let it get to you, embrace it. Yeah. Any problems, embrace it and say, I got over that. Yeah. It makes you stronger.
Yeah. It's made you stronger.
Yeah. It feels like it has. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on the podcast today, talking about your experience.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for your mum and dad as well for looking after you.
Oh, I'm going to show them this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably cry again because we don't want to.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you for sharing your experience with us. It's been very inspirational. Thank you.
Thank you.